Hi, sir, to all of you viewers of Equinoxe television. Welcome back from the weekend. Our major stories right away. Pupils and students in most parts of Cameroon today resume classes for the last and also decisive term of the academic year. In this edition, we will tell you how back to school for the last term of the year happened in some schools here in Douala. And prices of some food items such as rice and vegetable oil remain the same in local markets across the national territory, despite instructions by the Minister of Commerce calling on traders to reduce the prices of goods of basic necessities, including vegetable oil and rice. Why has it been difficult for business persons to respect the others? From Minister Luke Magrambarga at Tangana, our reporter spoke with some wholesalers and also retailers in markets here in Douala. Details of the stories and more in just a moment. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. In this edition of the news, we begin with this road accident which happened along the Nkong-Samba-Yaoundé highway, in which several persons incurred severe injuries in that accident which happened on the Nkong-Samba-Yaoundé highway that was last weekend. The accident occurred after a 70-seater bus which left from Nkong-Samba heading to Yaoundé lost control around the Banakane village, not far away from Bangante in the west region. The exact cause of the accident is still to be made public, but passengers saying but for the wit of the driver, it would have been catastrophic. The victims are receiving medical attention in some hospitals in Bangante and also in Yaoundé. We will be telling you more on what happened. That would be at 8 p.m. Now let's talk back to school. Students and pupils of high schools and primary schools resume classes after a short break in Douala at the government's bilingual high school. Jos or Lycée Jos students were ready for the traditional hoisting of the flag that was early today, though some came late. The principal encouraged the students who are to prepare for their exams. Let's now have more with our reporter, Cedric Chakutio.
It's the return of classes after 2 weeks of break. At the government bilingual high school Jos Bonanjo in Douala, several students attended the traditional gathering for the singing of the national anthem. After the hoist of the flag and singing of the national anthem, the principal sets the course for the last turning point of the school academic year. For this last term, we will mostly concentrate on revisions because, you know, they are examination classes which need good preparation. Teachers will be giving last advice for the students so as to prepare for their exams. It was also a special day for the school, which celebrates the winners of the 2024 Little Genius of the Francophonie competition.
Déjà au niveau régional, on n'avait pas peur, mais nos proches concurrents étaient le lycée technique de Koumassi. Nous avons fini vraiment très très serré et c'est par chance que le lycée Jos s'est démarqué. Et ce qui m'a donné encore de la niaque, on va dire, ce qui nous a donné de la niaque encore, c'est le mot final du lycée technique de Koumassi, parce qu'ils ont dit carrément que même si vous avez gagné à l'échelle régionale, vous allez perdre à l'échelle nationale. Et en fait, c'est ça a touché notre ego, on va le dire comme ça, et ça nous a vraiment incité à vouloir leur montrer qu'ils avaient tort en fait.
The competition included 43 government high schools and colleges from several cities in Cameroon. This championship has for objective the propagation of the French language and ameliorate their general knowledge.
And over to this other lead story, consumers of rice and also vegetable oil have fumed at what they qualify as government's lack of will to implement the new price of rice stipulated in the release which was sent out recently by the Minister for Trade, Luke Magrambarga at Tangana. The said release dated April 11 announced that the price of rice will experience a 5 to 25% reduction depending on the brand. Immaculate Fogwe was at the New Day, the local market here in Douala. She now tells us what she saw and what she heard.
On 11th of April 2024, The Minister of Trade, Luc Maglo-Antangana, in a release, announced that the price of rice will witness a significant decrease. However, the decrease, which depends on the different brands of rice, is yet to be implemented in our market. Visiting some shops at the Dedo market in Douala, traders say it is practically impossible for them to respect the new prices. I cannot buy something for 100 francs and I'm asked to sell it for 75 francs. Business doesn't work that way. We do business to make profit. I think the government is just running away from their responsibility. They know what to do. They need to discuss with the importers of rice and ensure that they reduce their prices. Many housewives who learned about the 25% reduction of some brands of rice say their joy was short-lived after visiting the market to purchase rice for their families. After reading the release, I rushed to the market to get my own bag of rice, but I was shocked that nothing has changed. We are really suffering. Many families are unable to have 3 square meals a day. We now eat a lot of maize. Traders urge the government to ensure that wholesalers reduce their prices so the entire distribution channel can benefit. Our sales have drastically dropped. 50 kilograms of rice, which we used to sell for 26,000 francs, now cost 30,000 francs. The government needs to subsidize the sector so things can change. Salaries should equally increase. Just like rice, the price of refined oil continues to skyrocket in our market despite government's announcement about a significant reduction.
And now Catholic bishops of all the dioceses and archdioceses of Cameroon have just ended their 49th plenary session in Yaoundé, precisely at the Our Lady, Queen of the Apostles Basilica in Voye. In a communique published by the bishops after their just ended 49th plenary assembly of the bishops of Cameroon, His Grace Andrew Kea, who is the president of the National Episcopal Conference and also the Archbishop of the Bamenda Archdiocese, urged Cameroonians to register massively on the electoral list for upcoming elections in Cameroon. This is just one among the many concerns voiced out by the bishops at the end of the meeting in Yaoundé. Our reporter Mala Glory read through the final communique and now tells us more.
Amongst the numerous concerns voiced out by bishops at the end of the 49th Plenary Assembly of Bishops of Cameroon is the country's political, social and economic situation. The meeting that was presided over by His Grace Andrew Kea, Archbishop of Bamenda and President of the National Episcopal Conference, called for Cameroonians to massively register on the electoral list for the forthcoming elections. The bishop also talked on the high cost of living affecting Cameroonians today, the abusive exploitation of natural and mining resources, and the slow implementation of the law on decentralization. His Grace Andrew Kea had mentioned some of these concerns during the Easter celebration, when he strongly condemned the blessings of homosexual marriages in Cameroon and, most importantly, amongst Christians.
And we also called on the powers that be to ensure that Cameroonians recognize themselves in their vote, which we expect to be free and to be fair.
The presidents of the National Episcopal Conference at the end of the assembly urged public authorities to do everything within their powers to give the youths who are losing confidence and hope a better future. And he emphasized on the need for people to make good use of the social media in order to spread the truth. The 49th Plenary Assembly of Bishops of Cameroon was attended by bishops, secretaries and members of the 14 Episcopal Commissions. The opening ceremony took place on the 9th of April 2024. At the end of the meeting, the bishop made the appointment of a new bureau members at the helm of the conference.
And just to let you also know that Monsignor Paul Nyaga was also appointed as a new Secretary General of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon. Now we talk politics. The chairman of the Social Democratic Front political party, Honorable Joshua Osei, has expressed worries over the poor living conditions experienced by people who live in the far north region of the country. This was during his national tour meant to discuss with 48 leaders of some electoral districts of the region on their challenges, the challenges they faced ahead of activities for the electoral year. Lucy Lingu is here with the details.
SDF, fighting for our freedom.
As part of activities ahead of the 2025 electoral year, the chairman of the Social Democratic Front Party meets with 48 leaders of some electoral districts in the far north region to discuss on the challenges faced by different electoral registration centers in the region.
Donc c'était un échange pour comprendre les problèmes les plus saillants dans les différentes circonscriptions électorales de l'extrême nord pour pouvoir les prendre en compte dans nos propositions de politique publique.
Joshua Osei expressed regret over the deteriorating conditions of the people who are faced with inadequate electricity supply, water shortage, unemployment, amongst other challenges.
Goûter au miel du Cameroun, c'est-à-dire avoir accès à de l'eau de façon abordable, avoir surtout de l'eau potable, avoir accès à l'électricité, avoir accès au développement et avoir accès aux emplois.
He went further to say the people of the far north region are confined or locked up by the elites. Thus, the masses have no freedom. However, the chairman reassured the population that there will be a change, reason for his national tour.
Et nous sommes sur le chemin du pouvoir, c'est comme ça qu'on appelle cette tournée, et sur le chemin du pouvoir, il fallait cet échange, et cet échange permet de renforcer les capacités de nos responsables locaux.
The leaders of the various districts used the opportunity to congratulate the party chairman for his election.
L'apothéose de la brillante victoire de notre chairman qui ouvre une nouvelle et définitive ère à notre parti.
Joshua Osei, at the end of the national tour, visited some traditional rulers in the region.
And now we take you out of the country. Over 60 people have lost their lives after heavy rains which led to floods in several parts of Tanzania. While in Togo, opposition activists are standing against a constitutional amendment aimed at transforming the country from a presidential to a parliamentary system. They say the project has a hidden agenda, which is to sustain the Nyasimbe grip on power and continue a 6-decade-old failed monarchy. For me, I'm Strong Sander with our foreign peace roundup.
Chad's interim president Mahamat Idris Deby kicked off his presidential campaign on Sunday for an election next month meant to end 3 years of military rule on a promise of strengthening security and boost the economy. Deby seized power in 2021 when his long-ruling father Idris Deby was killed on the front line against rebels in the north of Chad. The 9 other presidential candidates in Chad include Chad's recently appointed Prime Minister Success Masra, a staunch opponent of the junta. In West Africa, tensions are rising in Togo over major constitutional reforms ahead of delayed parliamentary elections. The constitutional reboot was approved by lawmakers last month but resubmitted for consultations as public anger over its stealthy passage through the parliament mounted, with police breaking up an opposition news conference and cracking down on protests. But opposition activists believe that all is a ruse designed to keep long-standing President Faure Nyasimbe in power. With all they say, with a new job title, preserving a dynastic system stretching back nearly 6 decades. From West Africa, Germany will provide 244 million euros in humanitarian aid to Sudan 1 year after the country plunged into war, as other European countries are also expected to pledge more funds. European diplomats met in France on Monday to mark the anniversary of the conflict that has killed tens of thousands of people and displaced some 8.5 million since the fighting broke out between the Sudanese Armed Forces, the SAF, and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, the RSF, last April. Nearly 60 people have died since the start of April 2024 in rains and floods that have hit several parts of Tanzania, according to government sources. The coastal regions of the East African country is one of the worst affected, with floods damaging thousands of farms.
And now we talk sports. Some Elite 2 coaches have condemned the poor running of the league this football season. According to some of the coaches, the coming of a betting company as partners of the championship has somehow negatively affected the game, as players openly refuse to score when they come face to face with goalkeepers. According to them, they want a better league next football season, void of cheating and match fixing. Details with our sportsman Sumal Jikan Gabriel.
Unofficially, Aigle of Mongo and Panthers Sportif of Nde are all through to the Elite 1 Championship next football season after they both totaled 16 and 14 points respectively at the end of the playoffs up and down of the Elite 2 League this weekend. Some of the officials were furious with the way the season unfolded. Football in Cameroon is bad. I think we should now use the youngest ones in our leagues because the older ones have been bought. Look at the goal we conceded. They are in front of the goal, but they decide to kick the ball off target. They vehemently refuse to score the goals. We won the game. You for one saw the goal we scored. The area where the ball opened the net was visible, but the referee refused. It seems they are on a mission. We had a crucial match against Racine, and Fekafut decides to play that game in Bamenzi, a zone of Racine Football Club of Bafoussam. They should stop helping clubs to remain in the championship. It's a disgraceful thing for Cameroonian referee. The club officials are calling on the organizers of the league to remove one of the partners, which according to them is the reason why the league is no longer as it was. The betting stuff in our football should be revisited because it's not helping our football. We have a one-on-one situation, but you notice that our player, instead of scoring, decided to kick the ball off target. While waiting for the disciplinary and homologation committee to confirm the scores obtained on the pitch during the playoffs up and down of the Elite 2 Championship, Renaissance of Ngumu, Rangers of Bafut and Leopard Sportif of Douala will play in their different regional leagues next football season.
Thank you, Smart, for that report. That brings us to the end of the first part of the news. Don't go away, Talking Points comes up next. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Song Derrick. He is an economist, and we will be talking on the non-respect of prices in local markets as stipulated by the Minister for Trade, Luke Maglombarga Atangana. Song Derrick, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest and Talking Point tonight. Now, the Minister of Trade and Commerce, in a communique recently that was earlier this month of April, announced that as a means to control high cost of living in Cameroon, the price of a liter of vegetable oil should drop from 1,500 to 1,100 francs, and also the price of rice should also witness a decrease depending on the brand. But the new prices are not yet effective in local markets, following the reports you watched of Immaculate Fogwe a while ago. What could be some of the reasons traders find it really hard reducing the prices at their level in the market?
Hello, Anne. It's a pleasure to be on your platform once more again to talk about situations that affect the economy of Cameroon and, of course, affects the local man in a very particular way. It is true that the Minister of Trade has sent out a communique talking about the prices, reduction in the price of cooking oil from 1,500 to 1,700 in some places to 1,100. But when we go to our local market, it is quite difficult to see that decision is being practiced. And the reasons are very clear. you know that people had done purchases, and they did purchases, purchasing in the former prices. You cannot buy at very high prices and sell at low prices. It's not possible. That's not business. It is true that the minister has to give a time frame before these decisions are implemented. Just the way during the increase in the price of fuel, we were informed in 2023, and it took effect maybe in January, February 2024. That's how they have to be informed. Secondly, transportation cost has not been reduced. Remember, we are living at a time where the cost of transportation is increasing. If I ask you to buy a pen for me, and you have to pay 50 francs to buy this pen for 100 francs, you have to pay maybe 25 francs to go and buy, and then 25 francs to come back. The original cost of the pen is going to be 150. So understand that the cost is being added to these because of transportation costs. And we're also asking the government if they have found out the reason why there was an initial price hike, and that problem has been handled, because the price hike is an effect of something, maybe cost of production, maybe cost of material, or increase in taxation and others. The government needs to ask itself if they have handled that very root cause of the reason why the initial price hike of cooking oil was initially increased. And if this is not done, we are going to be taking a boomerang effect. We're going to be turning around and trying to force people to make losses in business, whereas we need to handle the thing and handle it to its root reasons before the prices can be stabilized in the market.
Derek, we know that usually communiques are signed on papers in Yaoundé with very little or no follow-up to ensure their implementation. What should be done so that resolutions taken by the trade minister be respected to reducing prices in the market? Should price control units work with the Ministry of Trade by going down on the field?
I think it is no news in Cameroon that Cameroon is being governed by pieces of paper or social media, where minister, the president, the parliament, they sign pieces of papers and circulate it on the social media. But I think it is not enough when doing consumer protectionism, when trying to protect consumers against exploitation. We should not end at communique signing. And that is where the price control unit comes into play. And the price control unit is supposed to work with the Ministry of Trade. It is their place and their position to get to the market and make sure that the decision taken by the minister is implemented. But then, there is no way you can force that decision to be implemented if the minister does not give enough time for the traders to adapt. Because you cannot be a trader when you have purchased cooking oil for perhaps 1,400 and you're selling at 1,500 and the minister wants you to sell at 1,100. It can't go that way. Brett, we have a problem in Cameroon that communiques are signed, but the follow-up is not implemented. And that is where we have a problem. If there was a team to do the follow-up, then that team should do that follow-up, giving a time span, a time limit from when the decision has to be implemented till when it ends, and that decision is being followed up to the last or to the least. But if it is not done, and the minister sits in Yaoundé and signs a piece of paper thinking that businessmen will just follow, it's not going to be possible, except there is a detailed follow-up and implementation in the field. And where is it going to start? It's not going to start in the market. You and I know that. we are going to go to the suppliers. How much are the suppliers giving out this cooking oil? If it starts from the supplier, telling the supplier that from now on start giving out a liter of cooking oil for 950 francs so that it is retailed at 1,100, then that problem is going to be curbed at least 50% before the field implementation and the follow-up is being done for the consumers to flee away from exploitation. Because in business, it's about profit. And businessmen don't really care how much they squeeze out from the masses. As long as you are gullible, they can sell at any price. And the price control system we have, if they are not corrupt, because we know of situations where they will go into the field where we know all the prices that are in the market, and they will still check and then get money transfer under the tables and get back home to say everything is okay, which is a sad situation that we decry always.
Listen to what some of the traders are saying. Some of them complain that the minister's instructions or communique or decision came when they had already bought their goods in bulk and at high prices, so they must clear their stock at the prices they bought. They cannot be selling at a loss because of the minister's decision. Don't you think that they have a tangible reason?
And that is business. You have purchase price and you have selling price. There is no way the businessman will purchase at a very high price and sell at a price relatively lower than the purchase price. That is why initially I said that the ministry and its team, price control team, needs to start from the companies. They need to start from the suppliers of this cooking oil to make sure that at their level they follow the supply price of the government. If the supply price of the government is followed at the level of the company, then it will become easier for the government to control it at the level of the market. The businessmen in the field have every reason to cry out that the decisions were not well taken or taken on time. I think we are not living in a jungle. The businessmen have representatives. The government should have held a meeting with a representative of the business community to say, okay, hey, this is a situation. In order to curb the cost of living, we want to do this, we want to do that. Can you try and send out the stocks you have in your keeping at the initial price, so that beginning maybe 3 months or 4 months from now, we will make sure that the prices of cooking oil goes from 1,500 to 1,100. And still the same with transportation. Remember, transport will increase cost and purchase price. So all these things need to be taken into consideration. And the government must make sure that it should be a win-win situation. The businessman should not be crying, because once the businessman cries too, investment will reduce. And if investment is reducing, it is the economy at large that is suffering. I so much think and believe that what the government is taking as a decision is very good for the common man, for you and I, but they must take that consideration to take the stakeholders involved, to be involved in that decision tree, in that decision-making tree, because it is not about forcing people to do it the way they want. It is doing it the right way that benefits both parties, so that it becomes a win-win situation and no one is going home with grudges.
It's really important, and it takes me to my last question. Derek, though you already began answering somehow, can this price reduction saga be considered as a one-man show by the Ministry of Trade, with their business persons themselves completely sidelined? And can that be one of the principal reasons for its failure?
And we are not strangers to Cameroon. Cameroon is an autocratic state that believes in the rule of the iron fist. like I said, that decision by the minister is for the benefit of the common man. It's for the benefit of the local consumers. It's for the benefit of the low-income earners. But that decision cannot be implemented effectively if those that are involved, if the stakeholders in business are not involved in that decision tree. Like I told you earlier, when businessmen do their purchases, they do a markup to make some profit. There's a margin, there's a profit margin they want to make. The minister will not just come in and sit in a high-profile office and signs a communique without giving enough time for its implementation, and also without having a meeting with the stakeholders to have a tete-a-tete discussion with them. If it is the businessmen that have to implement this decision, in no distant time, it will not take any stress for that decision to be implemented. But if it is about the government officials moving to the field or the price control team moving to the field, I don't need a magician to tell you the porosity of our price control system, where when they come to control prices in the market, they end up being controlled by the prices, or they end up being controlled by money that will exchange hands. But if the minister will have a meeting with a stakeholder, be it the suppliers, that's the company producing this, and then have meetings with the businessmen, the retailers, or the representative, and tell them the reason why this is done, and the time is going to take effect, then they will pause for a moment the purchase of cooking oil and then sell out what they have in stock at the initial price, making their profits so that it becomes a win-win situation. And then later on, the next purchase will be at the present market price, and they will sell at the price that the government has stated. At that point in time, it is going to benefit everybody. But because the situation of Cameroon is in a way that we are being governed by pieces of papers, where pieces of papers are being signed, sent on social media, but there is nothing to follow up, and there is no team to follow up. It's going to be a farce, and I think that's the reason why it is failing. And the failure is only aggravating the situations they want to solve. So the government has the population at heart. They want to help the population, but the way they are going about helping the population is not beneficial, and it is not effective and efficient. They better know how to do it. We are not the ones to teach them, because they know better, and you know that.
Thank you very much, Song Derek, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Viewers, thank you so much for being with us.